I'm back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another It Came From the Workbench installment. And my friends, this one is wild. I could not remember what It Came From the Workbench series Blue Sky High is from. And he was retro named. I wasn't doing, like, they weren't called It Came From the Workbench at that time. At least I don't think. So he was badged as Vol.2. We are going back to Volume 2. And this is Episode 8. So Volume 2, Episode 8. Volume 2, Episode 7 was uploaded to YouTube 1 year and 1 day ago. We missed it by a day. So Blue Sky High has not gotten an It Came From the Workbench installment in 1 year. It was uploaded July 7th, 2022. This one is being uploaded July 8th, 2023. So a year and a day. And Blue Sky High has had some things have happened. Blue Sky High was and is, for those unable to tell by the thumbnail, an MST CFXW. That is the portal version of the CFX. I was most intrigued by the CFX because it has mirrored front and rear axles. It doesn't have a front and rear axle. It just has a front axle twice. It's basically configured from the factory to allow you to do four-wheel steer because it's built for servo and axle, and it has knuckles and CVDs all the way around. So literally you add a tie rod and a servo, and you've got four-wheel steer. It was the first four-wheel steer rig I built. He has been through some iterations. He began thusly. As I mentioned, MST doesn't, like, it's the only one I know of that is just a completely symmetrical chassis rail. It doesn't have a front or a back or a left or a right. They're the same, and they're fairly beefy. So I wanted to attempt to do some sort of very basic LCGification to it. So I basically copied the chassis. I put a kick in the skid, which was a real problem because the MST uses a bonkers, what they call a planetary reduction gearbox, which drives to an unnecessarily divorced transfer case that only has like 1.5 to 1 reduction inside the transfer case. So it has this big complicated thing. So when I decided to kick the skid, this is a rigid link as they come stock, and because the skid was angled, I had to fudge with that. So then we built the first iteration with the shock towers, and as you can tell, this was at a time when I wasn't bothering to template anything. So way too many shock holes. I would end up basically not using most of the shock holes. A lot of the holes didn't work. Everything had to get reorganized. So he got another revision after that, where you can see the shock holes all moved forward. The link mounting holes moved in tighter. I added body mount holes. I eliminated the little kicks in the front and back. Very, very simple stuff. So this is how he started revision 1, revision 2, revision 3. And I ran out of aluminum. So what I was doing was I grabbed a stock element rail, because the goal and the intention was to replace this thing, which puts the motor in an unfortunate place and very high. The goal was to replace this gearbox with a Stealth XF. And I thought, well, we can really get an idea of how we're going to lay this out by putting the XF into something that we know are going to line up with the holes. And then some stuff happened. Time passed. Time definitely passed. And we ended up here. And this is where we ended up. This is Blue Sky High. He looks very similar to how he looked before, but he's not. And he is a unnecessarily bizarre hybridification. I apologize now for the shock towers. I don't apologize for the link mounts, but the shock towers are something else, because we've got these little happy dog guys. I realize now I could have just cut down, and it might happen. I could have just cut down the stock shock towers, the MST towers, and just used them as body mounts. I've done this on Vanquishes before. The front I'm kind of okay with, and luckily, the way because we had to, why these shock towers look wild is because we have a body with pre-drilled holes, and luckily they're drilled very close together. So when you drill them, when you mount them just to the insides of flat shock towers, the holes just line up, which is nice. The body has to mount a bit high because, I mean, A, for his name, and B, we're probably going to have some tire interference issues as is. So this is a stock element chassis. I wanted to add more link separation in the rear, so I built these little, this one's easier to see. I built these little riser plates. I'm actually kind of proud of those. Those came out pretty much exactly how I wanted. I don't think the rear upper link length is correct. I had to change the inner rod ends on, oh, he just almost. I had to change the inner rod ends on all the links because the big burly link ends that were on here would not fit into the XF skid. If you wanted proof that I haven't driven it, that we are going to witness the success or failure of this together, this is just pristine. Like I've turned it around on the floor to make sure the steering endpoints and stuff are right. I used element pieces to put behind the axle on both ends, and I don't know, I could have just left this because then it's also behind the axle, but we're going to try in front of the axle for the rear to see, well, I mean, it's a nice drive shaft protector. We're going to see if it helps with slide over, and I really like how it lines up pretty much perfectly straight when we have the tie rod over here and the drag link just mounted into that point right there. We should not have clearance issues in the back. See, this camber gain here, or caster gain, I don't know. On the bench, it feels really good. It, for something that is on stock rails, it has around 5 inches flex front and rear. It might be too much. I don't know. I took a piece of 1/8 inch Lexan. I fabricated spacers. Now we're going to blow the focus. 25 millimeter spacers, which means I needed to use 35 millimeter screws here. And then these are just 9 millimeter spacers. So I think those are 35 millimeter screws as well, because those start at like a 27. And then we've got an electronics tray. Do I think that that's the permanent configuration? Well, here's the deal. If it works, it probably is. I have no idea whether or not, I mean, I'm kind of okay. I don't, this is weird. Is it weird enough for me to do something about it? I don't know. It did allow me also to go battery on servo on axle. We should have no clearance issues. Everything, oh, and I had to trim down the bumper pins. What else did I have to do? I had to carve out inside of here. Yep. And I could take a little more off that, I guess. So rear links are the big one for me. And I had to carve out right where the motor goes. Still running the 1400 because the way the wild and wacky MST portal boxes are, there's 4 gears in there, so the tire and the drive shaft rotate the same direction, which is a questionable decision. And they also effectively offer almost no gear reduction. So running this portal is geared like a straight axle. So even with a 1400, it's probably still going to be pretty peppy. We're trying something that I had not tried before. I got there successfully a couple of times. That is an M3x5 screwed in from the inside. You see, that way we're never going to have any interference issues. These right here are M3x6, so they poke through. I don't have a big supply of M3x5s. I think I have some stainless in M3x5, and then the kind of burgeoning OCD-ness of it will make me change all of the fasteners out to stainless so that everything matches. And I'm kind of okay with that. He's got a kind of a black on silver thing going. I think the electronics tray, I mean, honestly, unless you're willing to cut your wires down on a Rhino, there's not a lot of ways to cleanly and efficiently mount them, because like the bottom of it, I just stack up double-sided tape until I get a big enough like mound of it to stick the thing down to. There's no real, someone out there, hey, guys out there that do the 3D printing thing, make the rest of us a little bracket that will sit into that has like a screw hole through the bottom so that we can just stick that, like maybe a tab for a zip tie to go around it. Something simple to mount Rhinos, because none of my, like Rusty has got one. I literally zip tied the ESC to the top of the gearbox. That's how effective and efficient we've gotten that. And here's where we ended up. I wanted to cut him a full chassis, but I don't have the material, and the material is already kind of, the next purchase of material is more geared towards, it came from the Workbench 20, because he needs rails, and this guy doesn't explicitly need rails. And I think I've actually kind of done what I wanted to do. I didn't want an angled skid. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's probably advisable with this motor forward guy. This little fella is going to have a good bit of torque twist. The shock springing and oil feels really good. And ordinarily, when we do a rebirth or a rise from the ashes type of build like Ghost Rover or Misdirection or something, where we start off with something and make something mostly different out of it. The Colonel, I mean, God, the Colonel, going from a 10.3 to what he is now. This was far easier than that. And I think, I mean, everything's in a line. We're pretty compact. And, oh, man, I'm burying the lead again. The wheelbase. I had said that I think four-wheel steer needs a longer wheelbase to work. Because when you're at like a 313 or anything in that area, when you do this, the wheels are now too close together and you just, this guy was tippy, super tippy. So now, because the mounting points, like this was just brought to me, this was handed to me. I didn't really have a huge part in this. Because I had to change these ends, it lengthened the links, which is why I think I need to change the front. Seem like watch that front servo. That looks right. But then watch this rear servo. That doesn't look right. So I think the rear uppers need to be longer. They're all the way back. So I've got plenty of space to mount them ahead. Oh, man, I'm doing it again. His wheelbase is now, if we go from there to there, 330, right at 330 millimeters. So he's got a 13-inch wheelbase now, up from, he was right at 313. So, you know, that like 12 and a quarter, between 12 and a quarter and 12 and 3/8. So we've picked up near 3/4 of an inch. I think that 3/4 of an inch is going to help. And what I did is I fabricated the rear. This is still so crazy looking to me. Is it a Pokemon? Do they look like a Pokemon? I don't know what they look like. So I lined up, I noticed that the body mount hole is pretty much in the center of the fender, a little off, just forward of center. So I went with the front one, and I think we're okay. when we're extending 7/8 of an inch of wheelbase, we're going to have the tires out of the wheel wells a little bit. And I wanted to try to leave more room for the front, and I think I have successfully done it. So hopefully, now with the four-wheel steer at full lock in the rear, we're gonna get some rubbing. But I think the front should actually be pretty good. I didn't bother to scale this guy at all. He hasn't done any weight work yet. I haven't even actually weighed him to see if he gained or lost. I get the feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion that he will have lost a little bit. Let's see if these RC four-wheel drive foams are stiff enough to act as, oh, for sure. Body. 6.556. So if we do the rounding, 6.56 pounds. That's fine. That's fine. His wheel tire combos got a good bit heavier. All right. Yeesh. Oh no. I hate that you're all right, but you are absolutely right. 6.556 RTR. He drops down to 6.11 when we lose the body. And we will see how much weight we shed when we take off the wheels. For, as I have mentioned, I don't think fore to aft split is honestly that important of a number. Like, if you've got 65% front weight, great. But I think the percentage of this as a percentage of the whole thing is more important. 4.11 with the wheels off. And what did I say he was? 6.11 with no body? So that should be 2 pounds. $1.986, aka 1.99. So 2 pounds, not quite a kilo of wheelos. I had to reach under a cabinet. See, this is why I always have injuries. This is healing okay-ish. It doesn't look great, but my hands don't look great. So I would like, do I want to go so far as brass rings for the wheels? I don't know. Also, I had to opt for this shock hole right here in the front, because if you watch the front link, that front link, well, this silver line here, that's not a decorative feature of the motor. When I had it one hole up at full compression, straight up like this, that upper link would rub on the motor. So we physically limited that so that it hopefully won't happen anymore. There he is. Blue Sky High, HY. Gotta change his name a little bit. He's still just Blue Sky High. I don't think I'm going to cut another nameplate to change a letter. But here he is. I hope that the weight split is sufficient. I hope that the... what did someone in the comments say about the foams are, you know, they're dual stage, they're triple stage, so they've got one of these. And then around that, they've got one of these. And then around that, they've got one of these. Somebody called them reticulated polyethylene minions, RPM inserts, because we've got they're very minion-y. And, like, they worked. They worked quite well before we went and, I don't know. This is a regression, right? We've gone back to C channel. I don't think any rig so far has gone back to C channel, but like I said, I was doing this as a mock-up. And as I was mocking it up, I was thinking, what do we actually need flat plates for? I just want more shock mounting positions and more link positions, and I'm absolutely fine with the front link position. It looks exactly how I would want it to look. I didn't change shock springs. I didn't change oil. That's my horn. I'm tooting it. I've never had the idea before to screw the shock towers on from the inside and just use threaded and use little button heads on the inside. It saves fasteners. It's easy to do. You can actually get the angle up there to the screw pretty easily when the tires aren't on. So it's pretty easy, and then everything is screwed on from the inside. So this stuff will get cleaned up, but we don't bother with cleanup until we know that it works. And I don't know that it's going to work. We've got this. Oh, and I would be utterly remiss if I didn't embrace my own juvenile nature. I am male, so we stay juvenile until we die. We don't actually, like, maturity, that is a relative concept. But I had to reset all the endpoints inexplicably. So we're right at the stop. We're right at the stop. And then in the rear, right at the stop. And the stop point is basically where that hits. So that there's like a flat right in there, and they hit. So that's the physical travel stop. So when I set all the physical travel stops, I mean, you know, if you're one of us, you get at least a. That's about as far as it goes. One of my kids, every time it comes up when it's on the thermometer in the car, they go, I don't even know why, if they know why they're, but you know, I grew up without the internet, so I wasn't poisoned as a youth. Yeah, so when I did the test on the XF, that noise was definitely coming from that brush motor. So we've got another quiet boy, and my only worries are the wires on things like the battery. We have got to, for the purposes of today, we'll be fine. But, like, I don't like having things oriented in such a way that, like, this can happen. I desperately don't want that wire to get sucked under there like that. So that being said, we will sacrifice a zip tie for testing purposes, and we will zip tie the battery wire over here off to the side. Ordinarily, this can't be a thing. I've got to dig through bins, and, you know, TRX4s have those little wire guides that bolt to the chassis. I got to bolt one of those wire guides on somewhere right here so that I can clip the battery wires into it so that they don't get sucked into the motor. One of the risks of Outrunners that some of us might not consider on a daily basis. I know climbing Susan is neither easy nor advisable, but let's show me what you got. Well, no problem at all. So we definitely got another quiet boy. Yeah, that front wheel is it's a little out of frame, but all four wheels are down. So the actual functional flex is almost 7 inches of flex on this thing, at least in the back. That axle is at a 15-degree angle because it's flexing so far. We might have stumbled into something, and I really do love these MST drive shafts, the captive drive shafts that can't come apart because they've got that little pin. And just by pure random chance, we happen to be right in the middle of where they sit. We will see how much tuning needs to take place in the future. But for now, what we will do, we will take this guy with us, and we'll put this in my pocket so that I don't drop it. We'll take this guy with us because at most we'll be able to move some shock positions around if it proves that, like, if the rear end is sitting, yep, not even tight, we would have lost a wheel again. If the rear is sitting way too high or the rear is crushing too much, we can choose the shock. And I would also like to say that doing your shock holes this way in the arc, God, that's not fun. That's too close to, like, trigonometry. You know what? We're going to leave that kitty whisker there. We're going to leave a little curb feeler. He also might need some braces up on the towers, but I don't know. I like a little bit of frame twist. These are new body mounts. They're not the same body mounts that came off before. His old chassis was much taller between here and here, whereas this one, the towers are way down here. So he made a much longer, much more flexy body mounts. So there's no O-rings on them yet. This would be the equivalent, during a build, this would be the equivalent of a ghost ride. I don't think the tires look too funky, even sticking out that far. I don't want to say hopes are high, but, like, they're a little high. So, cross your fingers for this one, everybody. We're gonna do a pseudo tire test protocol. We'll run through the usual obstacles. I will try to keep my chatter to a normal level of non-sensory. We'll see what we got. What did we get? What do we have? What do we do? What are we doing? I think the body might actually sit a little higher than it did before. And I think he's also now certainly joined the rank of the stealthy boys. It's so quiet. It lives up to the stealth name. And mind you, lest we forget, this is the previously reviewed XF kit. So we've got 18% underdrive to the rear. And I had always thought this guy needs a longer wheelbase, and he needs underdrive or overdrive, and he needs weight on the front axle. And now he's got battery on the servo and heavier wheels than what he ordinarily ran. So he does indeed have more front weight. He's got underdrive, and he's got the other thing that I mentioned and forgot. Longer wheelbase. Honestly, he's pretty peppy on the 1400. It's 4-wheel steer, dude. Oh yeah. And oh yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't get this off my brain. I was on Reddit a couple days ago. Somebody had a picture of some LCG thing, very LCG thing. Yeah, I think that's helping. How much skate are we gonna get? Oh, the crab. It's all about the crab. And they had some custom LCG thing with a creep on it. Not a creeper, a creep. Just absolutely sliced to ribbons. Like, the body existed, there was maybe a half an inch of it below the windowsill. And I mean, no offense to anyone individually or particularly, but God, that looks atrocious. That is an atrocity. And I know, inchworm, there's another one. I know, hello little friend, beep boop beep boop beep boop beep doo 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 doo. I don't like this guy's body, right? This guy's body sits relatively high compared to others. Like, there's a sizable gap between where the chassis rail is and where his body begins. I would rather have that 365 days of the year than carve the body. Like, it pained me to chop those, to do that curve in on those front fenders, because sacrifices for vanity, you know? Oh my God, they're everywhere. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like, is it
is this normal? Like, is this cause for concern? Is this, I don't know, is this good? Is this bad? Do they eat stuff that I don't want them to eat? Like, I know what a caterpillar is. Like, I'm not 100% city, but that is the most caterpillars that I have ever seen in, oh, and like, they're everywhere. This is more caterpillars than I've ever seen in my life. There we go. There's a nice caterpillar cluster. Man, I don't want to say that I'm easily distracted. Some of them are really big. So, jumping back into the original stream of consciousness and losing that last one. Don't, like, at that point, make a body out of something, right? Don't take a body and cut it down to where 15% of the body is left. That body weighs somewhere around 0.4 pounds. So we'll call that, I'm doing the mental math, like 6.5 ounces is what that body weighs, which is fairly light considering that this body has got rear view mirrors and tail light buckets, headlight buckets, front grille, snorkel. It's got some add-on pieces. A J-Concepts Creep cab out of the package with no holes drilled in it and nothing cut out of it is about 3 ounces. 3 ounces. You saw the wheel tire combo right there, which are not specifically weight added. Oh, he's climbing me. No, buddy. They really tickle. Is 3 ounces. The wheel tire combo on here weighs 2 pounds, 32 ounces. So the wheels and tires weigh 10 times what a creep body weighs, and they weigh 5 times what that body weighs. Don't chop your body into ribbons and make it look dumb as all hell. Mount your body a little higher. Add a little bit of brass if you feel like it to compensate for the weight. Does it seem like to anyone that this guy is having issues specifically related to the fact that his body weighs 6 ounces? And let's not forget. Oh, nope. I'm getting into four-wheel steer trouble again. More four-wheel steer. I am better at crab. Yeah, I desperately wanted the 32 kg, the AGFRCs. I wanted them to be the guys. Come on, you can do that. Boop. But particularly in the rear, I can stall them out. Like, I get the rear bound up and they don't have enough torque to turn the wheel back the other way. I just drove completely out of frame. It might be one of those days, guys. It might be one of those days. Oh, well, this is perfectly in frame. So let's try the. So now we've got a completely flat skid, and the XF's got that little bit of hang down, so it's a little bit below the rails. So let's see what we've got on the brake over here with the longer wheelbase. I didn't even notice it, like it was flat ground. Yeah, the inserts so far, the inserts are working a treat. Yeah, he's a little like, he's cool, is what he is. If we're gonna put one word on it, he's cool. He kind of has a little bobble, a little swagger and sway to him, the way he moves. The damping is like perfect. Look at that pull up there. I mean, it is, yes, I acknowledge it's ruptures on triple stage. He's got four-wheel steer. Get over. Nope. I feel like I should I only crab? I feel like I should only crab. I mean, he will do the things. This is so much better. He is Blue Sky High reborn. And I was buying that XF. So I am comfortable calling this $0. He's so quiet now. He's so smooth. And I feel like not only am I using the four-wheel steer more often, I feel like I'm not ruining things as much as I would ordinarily ruin things with four-wheel steer. I mean, I've really only powered him onto his face once. Oh, look at that right there. Ordinarily, that's a little rumbly tumbly for Blue Sky High, but look at us. Who would have thought? I don't think it's explicitly necessary that we hit. Oh, wait, one more of those. And that's good. That's good. We got 3 four-wheel steer rigs in the Canyon fleet. This one is not my favorite. The four-wheel steer on this guy now feels organic. Little front end, little rear end position. He needs more servo torque though. And y'all know me, man. It is going to pain me to spend $130 some is probably what it's going to cost to put more torque in this guy. But I think I'm all but committed at this point. The rear link position. Okay, so we've got that weirdness of how the rear servo moves, the casters, the swing of the pinion angle, whatever we call it. The axle angle. So the axle is really adding caster under compression. It doesn't appear to be a bad thing. Let's see, how high is that passenger front gonna get? What kind of lift are we gonna get? We're gonna get none. And look at that low side just tucked into the body there. We can't put a creep on everything. Let's just ordinarily that bad move, that poor maneuver right there that was rollout city. Little bind up there. And oh yeah. I definitely need that additional torque. I feel like I need more torque on the rear servo than I do in the front, because, oh my God, this guy could run 4S. I could put our S500s in here. We've got thoughts and options and thoughts. No, I had it right. Yeah, crab is the answer. Straighten it out. I'll learn. I will. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it, but the rear went like pop, because I had already turned the wheel, but it was bound up. With more torque on the servos, this guy right here. We gotta do that. We are fitting a 19 tooth pinion, and what was that? And so there was a falcon just perched on the fence right here. Man, too bad that. I miss all the good things. We're rocking the 19 tooth pinion. The smallest that you can fit in an XF is an 18. As I was transitioning setups here, I was thinking 4S, just ringing in my head the thoughts of 4S. Oh man, I brought the bit and I didn't bring the drill, so we're not changing shock positions. Though I think we lucked into it again. So if we go to 4S, we're talking, that's 25% more wheel speed, right? This guy, full tilt, boogie, wide open, is just about perfect on 3S. So I think we're gonna have to stick him on. He's gonna have to stay 3S. Here's a question in the comments. Here's one for y'all to consider. So they claim that the Rhino has a 10 amp BEC, and it's running 2 direct power servos now. I mean, 2 receiver powered servos now, and I don't think they're powerful enough. Who here thinks I could get away with 2 receiver powered servos in the 45 to 50 kg range? Or should I just go to 2 direct power servos in the 50 to 60 kg range? Because you know me, I'm going to go on Amazon, whatever's on sale, whatever's on special, whatever's on whatever. I don't think this guy needs a lot of speed. He could get away with something a little slower. But I want something a little more powerful than a blue case. I don't think the internal BEC could run 2 blue case pros, because the 35 kg pros are actually 50 kg. I don't think I could run 2 of those. At that point, I would just want to go to 2 direct power servos. And I like to do like an upgrade philosophy, where if I'm going to upgrade these servos, I should take 2 servos from something else and upgrade the servos in something else. But I've got a lot of those Flash Hobby 50s and 60s in service, and that would in general be what I would replace them with. So nobody makes this on the straight pull. Ruptures. Blue Sky High is weaponized. And, oh, but right there, just doesn't have enough torque for me to steer the rear axle enough. I'm doing all rear steer right here. There we go. I almost caught that. So I will make a half-hearted claim. It's partially true, it's partially an excuse, that the reason I haven't started doing Crawl Olympics is because, well, I mean, you know, that's a summer event. Also, I feel like there are rigs. Blue Sky High was up there among them in rigs that their capability, their level of relative capability, I felt should be much higher. So I didn't want to initiate a competitive thing. Like, look at that front axle is locked. By the way, here's the, it doesn't have enough torque to return it to straight. And then when you unload it and it returns, oftentimes he needs more powerful servos. So guys like Blue Sky High, capable as they were, if you got them into direct hand-to-hand combat against some other vehicle that was potentially more capable, they tended to get knocked around. Gate Rover and Blue Sky High were among those favorites of mine. They've been around here a long time, but just didn't quite have the same level of ferocity that other rigs have gotten. So I didn't want to go into a competition and just absolutely get demolished. Like, if we're doing unlimited class turning circle, I think it's probably this guy. Even rigs with dig, I don't know if anybody turns as tight as this guy now. Is the tunnel hungry today? The pit? Crab through? Yeah, I mean, and I'm way over here. I'm way over here. There he goes. Look at this. Look at this guy. Cat-like. Cat-like. It's not a day until you've fallen into the pit. Just listen. That's so good. I didn't re-grease that gearbox. You know I didn't. You know I put it together and then just put it in there. We put a little more grease in there. I bought another tube of grease to try. We might sample the new grease on this guy. Ah, he's so good. And every setup transition just has me thinking that he's got to be a 3S guy. That 1400, unless 9i Mod surpass those guys, unless they come out with like 1,000. If they hit me up with 1,000, even maybe at 1,200, 1,100 to 1,000, we could go 4S. But as I have mentioned in the past, certainly a 4S servo and a 3S servo are not the same thing. Like, the particularly with like NSDRC, significantly better on 4S than on 3. Oh, I just got the thing stuck. Honestly, I think his capabilities are going to step up once he gets some more torque. I just can't quite find the spot. To get that rear tire up over that lip. And I think it comes down to torque. He needs like 50s. But I gotta say, in terms of we just did this, did we do a thing? Oh, absolutely. So good. Blue Sky High. I find myself using the 4-wheel steer. There we are. This is the harder part right here, because you get into a little midsection, but most guys can't put attitude on their rear tires. Almost had it. Nope. Thing is, when we get to that tipping moment, my brain, the computer glitches out and can't figure out what to do in that moment, because I'm like, do I add steer? Do I take steer away? Do I add rear steer? Do I take rear steer away? Do I give it a bumper reverse? There's too many variables. I guess the short of the long of it is I just haven't wheeled 4-wheel steer enough. Yeah, his low speed is delightful. Yeah, he's so good. And, like I say, you can get away easily with the Sky High body, because the body weighs 6.5 ounces out of a rig that weighs, I'm doing the math, 104 ounces. It doesn't matter that much. I don't mind it. Do I wish the shock towers and the plates and stuff were all black? Yeah. Enough to motivate me to do it? Y'all know me, man. Probably not. This, you know, after recent stuff, after quick views of things like the Jetco Adventurer, after hopelessly flailing at finding inserts that work and tires that work and stuff like that, how pleasant the experience of Blue Sky High has been. Because I think I mentioned it in my mind, but when I was looking for stuff to try to make him and not rob from other projects, I looked around the bin and, like, say 4-inch by 6-inch piece of aluminum, I have a lot. Say like a 3-inch by 3-inch piece of aluminum, I could fill half a 5-gallon bucket of pieces that big, because that's about the size that I stopped, where I figured that's enough that I could make something out of them in the future. I won't throw that away. So I was like, making shock towers and some link mounts, easy. I can do that out of scraps and quickly, compared to trying to do the whole geometry to build a whole thing. So I'm not saying that this type of thing isn't going to happen again in the future, because Hardline was the inspiration. I didn't want to change the overall geometry. I just wanted shock positions, shock and or link positions. Easy to do. Flat plate, drill some holes, tap some threads into them. Bish bosh Bob's your uncle. Here we are. Blue Sky High is now super capable. He is the Blue Sky Hybrid, but he will forever be Blue Sky High, because it's the whole Jeopardy thing. That's where he got his name. Blue Sky, Sky High. He's, you know, what do they call it on Jeopardy, before and after? So he's still Blue Sky High with an asterisk after that, because he is a hybrid. He is like half MST and he is half Element. And then he's a little bit Canyon. And we got to get some servos in him for sure. and then we'll see how he does after that. I don't think there's much that needs to be done in the way of setup changes. I mean, I think I need to go through his fasteners and hardware. He has not gotten fastener optimization yet. We will get him on the scales for the next one. Once he gets new servos, we'll get him on the scales and get some front rear numbers, see how his weight balances work out, and we will go from there. It's starting to get a little warm in the sun. We're working towards midway through July. It is 73 degrees. This is the desert. This is unheard of. We've had 3 days over 100 this year total. It's madness. I understand that currently right now out in the Midwest, in the Mid-South, they are getting roasted. Ordinarily that would be here right now. So enjoy that heat, y'all. We know what it's like. Typically in the month of July, we'll have 10 or 12 days over 100. And we've had 3 days this year over 100. It's pretty good. It means I can do more wheeling, which is nice. It's nice for all of us. I'm just admiring this. Well, this is how I should have done this, because I think, no, I don't like that. I mean, that's not bad. That's better enough for me to bid you all a fond adieu from here in the canyon. 1 year apart. It came from the Workbench Vol.2 between episodes 7 and episodes 8. 1 year and 1 day. Thank you for following along with Blue Sky High. Like, that angle right there, he does not look appreciably different from how he looked before, as in my mind. It's just that, oh, the bumper was way higher on the other body. That's why it looks different to me. There we go. Thanks for watching. Please do comment below, particularly if you have any mentions of anyone running dual servos off of a Rhino. Please do chime in below. Drop a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. Do consider channel membership. I took my deep breath too early. Final outro. We'll see you next time. In between now and then, I would recommend or come so close as to almost demand that you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you in the next one, whatever that might be. Come on back to the canyon. We love having you. And we're gonna drive off this thing. See you next time, everybody.